All right, so today we're jumping into a really powerful and honestly, a deeply personal collection of essays called Timeless Person. It's all about getting inside the head of someone who feels completely, totally out of sync with the world they were born into. So, right off the bat, we meet the guy at the heart of all this. He calls himself the Timeless Person. And this first line, wow, it just pulls you right into his world of deep self reflection, you know? It's an admission that basically tells you we're in for a serious internal journey. And this is really the core idea, the whole heart of the thing, this feeling of being untimely. It's this constant nagging sense that you just don't belong in the here and now. And this isn't just a bad mood, it's the fundamental way he sees the world, shaping every single thought and experience he writes about. To really get this feeling of being so out of place, we have to go back. We need to look at the world that made him. And it's a past that was absolutely defined by intense political violence in his home country, Turkey. This is basically the fire that forged the Timeless Person. Now look at this timeline. What's so wild is that this isn't about birthdays or school graduations. His childhood milestones were national traumas. I mean, just imagine being a kid and this is your reality. Coups, executions, people disappearing. These aren't just history lessons for him. They're the vivid, brutal memories he grew up with. And they built this deep foundation of suffering and disappointment. And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures that emotional whiplash, right? You can hear the young idealist in him, dreaming of a better world, only to wake up every single day and have those dreams smashed against a wall of just brutal reality. That cycle of hope and despair creates this deep conflict inside him that he carries forever. Okay, so we've got the history, right? The big picture stuff. Now let's zoom in and see how all that external chaos created this profound inner exile. We're moving from the history books into his very personal world of pain, loneliness, and this deep, hollowing sense of emptiness. And this is where things get really interesting. He starts taking these words we all think we know, like pain, and just flips them on their head. For him, pain isn't about his own suffering. No, it's something else entirely, and it's all rooted in empathy. And this just nails it. True pain, the way he sees it, is that agony of watching someone you love just crumple, and you are completely, utterly powerless to stop it. It's like your own empathy becomes a weapon turned against you, just absolute helplessness. So you can imagine feeling that kind of helpless pain over and over. It eventually leads to a kind of soul burnout. He describes this huge, empty space inside him where feelings like love and sadness used to be. He feels so disconnected, he's actually wondering if his own soul has literally just up and left him. But, and this is the big twist, out of this absolute pit of despair, something completely unexpected happens. He hits a breaking point. But instead of shattering him, it leads to this radical transformation and a really unique kind of freedom. And this whole transformation, it's not just some random event. You can actually see the steps. He starts by questioning the religion he was taught, thinking, this whole idea of a God testing people is just cruel. Then he's let down by the religious people in his life. And then, bam, at 25, it all just collapses. But in that dark, lonely void, something new starts to grow. And that is the key moment. I mean, think about it. In losing everything he was ever told to believe in, God, fate, some observer in the sky, he finds the one thing that's truly his own, his freedom. Suddenly, all the pressure is gone. The strings are cut. He's totally alone, but for the first time, he is completely free. So with this new freedom, he basically looks at the path society lays out for everyone, that safe zone, and just says nope. He sees it as a suffocating trap. Instead, he chooses to forge his own way, to embrace mistakes as just part of the process, and to accept himself as he is, not as who everyone else wants him to be. Okay, so what does this all actually look like? What does it mean to live as this timeless person in the day-to-day world? How does this philosophy really translate into a moral code you can live by? Well, he builds a whole new moral compass from scratch. And it's not about rebelling. He's not against religion. He's just indifferent to it. His whole thing is based on reason, logic, common sense. He values self-sufficiency more than anything. He doesn't want anyone watching over him, anyone to help him, or anyone to hide behind. His focus is on real, tangible things: equality, human rights, respect for nature. And for him, the only thing that makes death scary is the thought of having lived a meaningless life. When he looks at the modern world, he sees it with this really sharp, critical eye. And this quote from Saramago just perfectly captures that feeling of alienation. He thinks the pace, the fakeness, the values of our time, they're just fundamentally hostile to the human spirit. It's a world so out of whack with his own nature that it feels almost unlivable. And that really leaves us with this final, thought-provoking question, doesn't it? This whole work is about one man's fight to find freedom by basically carving out a life for himself outside of his own time. And it makes you wonder, are we really in sync with our world? And if we're not, how do we find our own freedom?